Okay, so today, to deepen with ourselves some more, we are going to play this game that we've actually done in one of our other games as well. So you might already be familiar with it, especially if you've been playing lots of our games, which I hope you have. And it's a little bit difficult to describe at first, so bear with me. I will definitely get you clarity on this. Just hang in there. It is essentially listening to your body. You are listening to the voice of your body. And if you're just like, what does that mean? That's what I told you, right? Like, bear with me. Another way to call it would be authentic movement. That's like what we call it in the dance world. And it was something that was introduced to me when I was doing dance, and I love it. And there's like all this rich stuff in it too. And we'll play a little modified version of it. It's not just like 100% dance kind of stuff. All it is listening to your body. So you just start out with, what does my body want to do? What does my body want to do? And if you're like, nothing, my body wants to do nothing, it doesn't have any wants or what, like, listen a little further. Like, that's the point, you know? It probably does want to do something, you know? Is it like this one knee over here is kind of getting tight, it kind of wants to straighten out? Or I've got something, you know, over here on the side of my face. So you start by listening to this immediate layer. You know, is there something bothering you, essentially, is what that first layer is like. And then you keep listening. You keep listening because sometimes we don't listen to our body very much at all. And so it doesn't speak up because it knows that it doesn't get listened to. And I understand I sound wacky right now talking about your body with some sort of personality, you know, but, you know, I'm speaking metaphorically, but there's truth in it too. You know, if you listen further, okay, what does my body want to do? Oh, well, my back is tight, and so I'm going to stretch it. Or, you know, something is bothering me over here. And then we kind of start moving away from the what's bothering me and a little bit more into the like, and what would feel extra nice too? What else is my body asking for? You know, maybe it does want to stretch. And so you do start with some stretches, and it feels a little bit, you know, just like mechanical, like, well, yeah, I mean, I like it when I stretch my neck, so maybe my neck needs to be stretched, or maybe my body wants to do that, or I'm gonna do that. But like, where's your body leading you? What does it want to do? And, you know, so it might move into stretches, or it might move into something totally different. I mean, everybody, you know, is different like this, but usually that's kind of how it goes. Like, what's bothering me into some stretches that like I particularly like. And then it starts to get more fluid. See if you can't take it into an exploratory place. Like, where does my body want to explore? What does it want to try? What does it want to do? Think of it as like play. And, you know, what does it want to move and do next? Like maybe this. And it starts to be a little bit more fluid, like a dance. And you're not even thinking about it anymore. You're just like letting your body do stuff. And because you're just listening, you're just letting it be in charge. You're letting your body be in charge, and you're just letting it go. You don't think about anything. You're just letting it happen and letting it flow. And I have also seen some people kind of take a much more exploratory sort of understanding of this, where when they say, what does my body want to do? They start thinking about like, okay, my body wants to walk over there and see what's in that box. Or my body wants to, and that's kind of what their mind wants to do. And they want the body to take them over to do it. But that's okay too. I mean, we're just making distinctions. Like, if your body does want to walk over there and see what's in the box, it can work with the brain too and like do that, you know, go over and get that started. And then continue to try to listen to the body though. And what does the body want to do next? What does, you know, want to do from there? And then what? And then what? And it doesn't have to be as much in the thoughts. I mean, this ends up being a moving meditation. And I've always like defined meditation as simply listening. It's just listening, a form of listening that is like so pure that you're not thinking active thoughts. You're just listening to what is there. You're taking in instead of putting out thoughts or, you know, neural activity kind of. You're like taking in the activity of, you know, whatever. Neural is not the best way to describe that because I'm sure neural activity is still happening. So whatever, don't get me on these technicals. I'm trying to get us to this place where we understand what I mean by listening to your body. Because that's what I want you to be thinking. But what ends up happening is you're just moving whichever way your body wants to go. And at first it might be small stretches, and then it might be just sitting still, and then it might be more stretching. And then you might start moving through stretches that look a little bit like a yoga sequence. And then it might start getting more fluid, like a dance, you know, that looks like you're actually dancing. And then it might get weird because you might not be dancing anymore. There might be little hops and jumps, and it might look like a kid playing or an animal just like running through the forest, because you know, you might have an impulse to like all of a sudden turn and do something else. And you know, there might be little bursts of play and back into something fluid, and there might be resting times, and you might lay on the floor, and then you might roll on the floor, and then you might push up into your arms, and then you might kick a leg, and then you might just like rub your head. I mean, you know, just totally wacky stuff. And it's wacky just because we don't often let our body have this kind of voice. We don't listen to what it wants to try. We don't let it take the reins and just explore whatever it wants to do. And it is super childlike. Almost everybody that's ever done this activity in my presence or with me or whatever always says, almost one of the first things is like, whoa, that was so invigorating, like I was a kid again. That I was a kid again, you know, because you just get to explore wide open, and you let go of a lot of the chatter and a lot of the restraints that keep you from just listening and doing what your body wants to do. And it is invigorating. It gets you in touch with this like deep place of energy inside of yourself, because you're like really hearing your own voice. A voice, it's not the only voice, but a voice that you don't usually listen to. And I do actually say that it is connected to and a part of your deepest voice. And it can even become you listening to your deepest voice. Even though we're kind of just using the prompt of like, what does my body want to do? It does end up mingling and becoming, you know, especially if you sink into it long enough. And you might not. This first session, you know, might just be like, okay, that was weird. I just basically did some stretches and then I was done. Okay. And if you don't ever get to the juicy place that I'm describing, you might want to try it some more. You might want to take this game and play it again tomorrow and again tomorrow, because I do promise that the juicy place happens where you just like wild and nuts, you know? And I mean, it might not even be wild. It might be serene and beautiful. And you might be like laying and resting and cuddling on the floor and, you know, doing all these other like smooth, like loving on yourself activities. I don't know what it will be for you, but if you haven't gotten to that zone where you think you might be in touch with some sort of like deep inner voice and it made you feel like you were a kid again and it was like all enlivening and stuff, then maybe you should keep trying it a little bit more, because it can get there. It can absolutely get there. And I do argue that it could be very much you being in touch and listening and hearing your deepest inner voice through this avenue of listening to something that speaks really quietly, like our body, or doesn't usually speak much at all, or that we suppress and say, shh, we're not doing whatever you want. We got all these other things to do and these practical things to achieve. And so anyway, this is all to say, we're doing authentic movement today. We are listening to what the body wants to do. And there's a lot of deep connection that's available in just doing this activity. There's a lot of energy and aliveness and playfulness that's available, and there's a lot of deepening that you can get from it. Much more connection with your body and its voice and yourself, just a deep inner voice. It is meditative for sure, like a moving meditation. So enjoy.